CorporateMOM Decodes M&A Ego-System. Set target returns for $48.1 trillion pension funds assets. Align corporate ecosystem of investee companies with the ecosystem. Hello friends, today's topic is CorporateMOM Decodes M&A Ego-System. It's a very interesting topic. Please lend me your ears. Corporate uses the word ecosystem so liberally. They should. The ecosystem refers to the nature, whereas ecosystem refers to the individuals, how they run their companies. So this is going to be very interesting. And let me go back to about 1616 actually, the year when Galileo was imprisoned and let out after a day because he said is the planet Earth is orbiting around the sun, and he was permanently put behind his villa, never to come out of it. That was the ecosystem which was challenged. That ecosystem which he challenged, he was the first reverse mentor. He came and challenged for the purpose of correcting the issues which had been in the minds of millions of people within this planet Earth. Having challenged that, they said it's a hearsay and he had to go through a lot of problems. But the problem is the planet Earth is going around the sun, not the other way around. That was proved by him by scientific means. The science is the most important aspect of removing any doubts or any that ecosystem which had been in existence for long. So that's what he did. So that the ecosystem does not change. It continues, Earth continues orbiting around the sun. It is the ecosystem of that time was removed. Same is the case now. The ecosystem of corporate, you'd be shocked. That ecosystem, we can talk of ecosystem. Aligning with ecosystem by mere talk will not make the ecosystem anything more powerful. What Galileo did about 400 years back had to be brought back, and that by scientific means. That's what CorporateMOM does. Science, the laws of physics. Science, the laws of metaphysics. Science, the laws of quantum physics, by which the current ecosystem existing in industries, in corporate, should be removed and aligned with the ecosystem. That is the purpose of my talk. The one which I have taken is setting the target. We have to be practical about it. $48.1 trillion of pension funds assets are there. That have to necessarily, and which are more than 50% are being invested in equity and bonds. So there must be returns. In fact, $48.1 trillion 2022 OECD says is less by 15.6% from the previous year. So the value of assets have come down. What is very important is that the returns of it have to be brought in such a manner, the investments in equity and bonds progressively goes up, which should be the benefit of everybody. So I have selected these M&A as a sample and go forward in terms of finding out how that bottommost rung, the layer of your equity investments with the investee companies. So if you look at the $48.1 trillion in one on the top of it, and another about 100,000 companies which are collecting those funds or getting invested either through M&A, either through GPs and LPs and VCs. I can't but forget about Silicon Valley Bank. So these are very important, and I would like to prove it by science. This is how I am approaching this, and I will explain to you how it is being done. So let us talk about the ecosystem as well as ego-system. My book, Corporate Mom, Sustainability of Corporate Stability, has every one of the elements which I am talking about as well. I have created a case study of Volkswagen. Volkswagen is an excellent case study which had gone bad, come back and doing very well. But what is very important in our ecosystem, we approach from, let us go back to the first industrial revolution. This is the main plank of our ecosystem. The first industrial revolution got you the steam engine, this and then whatnot. And what it benefited the countries, if you look at the East India Company, was also a company. And that is how the whole thing got expanded. And that's what the steam engines enabled countries to go with other, take over other countries, increasing their territory, increasing their power of running the other countries, third world countries all over them, and ended up with the World War I, with all those rails and railways, everything had been produced by the industry. Then in the second industrial revolution, what has happened is that was a mass production. We had planes, we had tanks, we had motors, we had scientific advancement had provided a lot of things, including an atomic bomb, ending up in the World War II. And the gas for the gas chambers was produced by industry, mind you. And this is what had happened in bombing Nagasaki and Hiroshima. This has happened in the second revolution. The third revolution is advanced technology. Computers had come in, and what was nothing in 1401, computer for this by payroll accounting and stock accounting, had grown to a very great extent that the IT industry enabled the toppling of the governments, like as it has done in Venezuela, and switching the votes from one to the other. Simple. And this is what has happened on the third revolution. The fourth revolution, we are talking of I 4.0 with advanced technology, with AI in such a great push. I'm an accountant. Going through the AI as we had done for SAP and all that for the ERP, very high priced and struggling to get it done for several years and hardly using the SAP's capability model. What has happened is providing an increased fixed cost for companies. When there is an increased fixed cost in one side because of AI, because of SAP and all that, SAP total revenue can be compared with that of company's fixed cost. What is very important in an investing company, enabling all these advanced technology creates the fixed costs. Then think of your target, $48.1 trillion. You would like to get better returns. You can't get better returns. In fact, 48.1, I said, is about 15.6% less than previous year, 2021. So you can't get the better returns if 100,000 university companies are going to create more and more fixed costs, because their variable cost, if you look at the upstream companies, the variable cost also doing the same thing. Every company is doing the same thing. The scope 2 companies trying to reduce the variable cost from 80% to 79% is impossible, because their raw material input, their power cost is not coming down. You have to invest a lot to generate your own power. It could be solar, it could be further investment, metals and advanced metals and whatnot. But you got to do the further investment to run your company. So which you can't touch. That is 80% to 79%, it doesn't come. So what do? You have to have reduced you have hardly got about 20% to play around. And the 20% you are infusing the new types of AI and SAPs and so many advanced technology, and as well as increase the cost of employees and marketing. Hardly any balance available for your profits, your own profits. If the investee companies of 100,000 companies cannot increase their profits, don't expect anything better returns for $48.1 trillion. This is what is very important. Why? An M&A, which is supposed to do amazing reorganization by merging or acquiring another company, is to not only stabilize but increase their output and increase their productivity, increase their profits in a phenomenal manner. And then only $48.1 trillion will be able to justify having invested in these equity and other bonds. So what it does in these investing companies is crucial. So 100,000 companies, I'm assuming it, are using the pension funds, and these pension funds have to be correlated. What I would like to demonstrate is how CorporateMOM gives that with Volkswagen case study. It's a very interesting one, and I would like you to buy the book and get whatever that I am talking about, because I am going to confine myself only to one area of M&A, 6 stages of transformation, how it is going to come about. Then we can look into the how it is being done and how the ecosystem of the companies, 100,000 companies, are being aligned to the ecosystem. That ecosystem nature is perfect. We can get metrics, we can get very good benchmarks, which is going to help the corporate, help these 100,000 companies. That is my approach, and I shall explain to it just now. Now let me take you to the 6 stages of transformation. I want to start with what Dhirubhai Ambani had mission statement or vision statement had mentioned. He said, our dreams have to be bigger, our ambitions higher, our commitment deeper, and our efforts greater. This is one of the finest I have come across in strategy planning, the process. This, our dreams, our ambitions, our commitment deeper belong to the creative process, and our efforts greater is the action process. It was superb, which I have applied to, as I said, scientific methodology of taking this strategy planning process in my own way, which is 6 stages of transformation. If you look at the chart, I'm giving the two areas. One is the ecosystem, another corporate ecosystem. In the ecosystem, which is what I am mentioning, is about the development that had happened eons back, what is called the Panchabhuta. The Indian sages have come out with something outstanding. I want to apply that for the purpose of linear expansion development from the dream stage, which what he said is about our dreams have to be higher, our ambitions higher, our dreams have to be bigger, our ambitions higher, and our commitment deeper. In stage 1, there are 6 stages. The first stage is a state of non-existence. In the state of non-existence is what we dream of, is in terms of where the dream goes, how it could be an individual's dream or a collective one done on the brainstorming session by the companies. But it is the individual who is going to finalize as to what the dream has to be. That is in the domain of intangible. The domain of intangible is just before the Big Bang, our own. So we have this state of non-existence, very difficult to fathom what it was before the Big Bang. Absolutely nothingness comes. So dream. Then from the domain of intangible come to the tangible domain. This is what I would like the 100,000 investee companies to look into. Strategic planning process of their what they want to do. The second stage is space. In Panchabhuta, it brings out the elements. The space, it said, has got only one element, which is sound. How did Indian sages could know that space has got only one element? And that too some eons back. That was clarified by science. Voyager, which is today traveling toward another solar system, which it will reach in about 187,000 years later, sent back the first ever sound from Voyager from space. The NASA scientists were astonished. For the first time in space we had recorded the sound. In my book I have given the sound, how it comes, what the NASA had come out. It will be absolutely exhilarating to know that this is what science proves, what Indian sages have already recommended. Now, that is one element, that is sound. When you look at the corporate ego-system, you get an idea. It's a conceptualization of an idea. The dream state is a wake-up state now in the tangible domain, where we, the 100,000 invested companies, want to have something done. That is an idea. It could be individual, group of people. The M&A is a lot of things are being talked about, and that is what the stage number 2 is. which goes to next step is goes to stage 3. Stage 3 is atmosphere. It has got two elements, sound and touch. These are the two elements which I will say the dreamer or the startup guy or the investor company communicates to selected few. This is my idea. Shall we go forward? Goes to the next step. Fire is from the ecosystem. It has got three elements, sound, touch and form. That is in the ecosystem, corporate ecosystem, it is formation. Form a team. Discuss about this particular idea, whether it is possible to go beyond it. That's what Dhirubhai Mone has said. Our ambitions higher and our commitment deeper. Our ambitions are the one which makes us to discuss with a select group of people. That is formation of a team or a committee. Then the next in the ecosystem is water. Water has got four elements, sound, touch, form and taste. This is the formulation. In the ecosystem of the corporate, it is a formulation. It is the most difficult area. If you are in a position to come out very well, go to the next step. We have succeeded in everything. So I will briefly explain what this formulation step is all about. It has got three elements, three important science. One is physics, laws of physics. Number two is quantum physics. Number three is metaphysics. Here I have in my CorporateMOM has created with the laws of physics a corporate atomic structure. The corporate atomic structure is identical to the atomic structure. Atomic structure has got three elements, proton, neutrons and electrons. So does corporate atomic structure. In the laws of physics, the protons and the neutrons combine as a nucleus and the electron spins around the nucleus. Same is the case here. Protons is the board of directors who have a great vision for the future 100 years from now. One of those Dhirubhai Mone's. And the society, which is a neutron. The neutron and proton, as in the case of atom, do the same thing. Here, the society and the board form a nucleus, corporate nucleus. And the electron, as it is in the atom, is the CEO and the workforce. 670,000 people are all forming part of the workforce. Those people are the electron. They spin around the nucleus. That is the most important aspect of it. The nucleus have the entry of society. They have to fit themselves into what the society wants and how the board creates the policies so the society is being given the right place in their company. The neutron does not change the identity of the atom. So does the society. It does not change the identity of the corporate entity. Neutron adds mass to it. That is very important. By aligning with the society, it adds mass to it. Adding mass to the nucleus, which the board has already got excellent mass, plus the neutron, it becomes stronger. When it is becoming stronger, the CEO and workforce spins around the nucleus as does the electron. 75%, that is 3/4 of the speed of light, very fast. That is what most of the CEOs do. They are very fast guys. When it spins around, when that CEO and the workforce spins around the nucleus, that brings the stability for the organization. If that nucleus is not strong enough, it will go astray, as electron would do. This is very important, these laws of physics, and we have brought the CorporateMOM has brought the corporate management orbiter mission. So the nucleus is being, the CO team spins around the nucleus, it orbits around the nucleus. The nucleus is the strong position. It is the constant. That is a constant one. And in my book, you will see, I've added another electron. In a company, any company, there are about 200 different process blocks. The 12 of them are quantitative and 188 of them are qualitative elements of management. The ego-system of corporate does only 12. They touch upon only 12. Ex post facto, balance sheet and P&L are being analyzed. 188 they do not measure. This is the critical area. Hazard analysis and critical control point, this is where it is. When the critical control points are not being measured, we have a problem strewn all over the corporate history. It is quite obvious. So when it is being done, there is 188. What you will see from my book, bring the second electron. The second electron or the women empowerment. So the women within a company have the dual responsibility. They will also add to the fiscal responsibility and be in charge of the ethical responsibility. First, second, third, fourth revolution we have seen, industrial revolution, is boys only club. They have no any compunction about whether we can do like this or do in a different manner. They have destroyed the ecosystem actually. That's what they have done. That is the history. So, fortunately, the women have not participated in this. That's what if you look through the 2008 Inside Job, you will very clearly that person says, fortunately there's not a woman who is involved in that. So is the case here now, even in 2023. So the women are well fit. I have indicated in detail but what their capabilities are, what I call as a girls. G for governance, I for inspiration, R for responsibility, L for leadership, and S for strategy. And very clearly indicated, you got to necessarily hand over the ethical responsibility to the women. When you do that, in the framework which I have given, possibly I'll put it in the for you to have a look at, is you have women equity. There are three: fiscal responsibility, ethical responsibility, and co-responsibility. These are the three areas which are going to be taken note of when it is being done. We have a lot of advantage for the entity to grow phenomenally. I had earlier written in my LinkedIn newsletter that we shall have FEC report being made mandatory by Government of India. I would like to write to the Prime Minister Modi. It's an excellent opportunity where every company must have the FEC report being prepared. We are in the first one, laws of physics. We are in the fifth stage of formulation. It has got the corporate atomic structure being structured, and then we will get into the next. This, as I said, is about 200 process blocks, and we are looking only at the 12 process blocks, which is quantitative, P&L and balance sheet, and the 188 we ignore. That is our ecosystem, corporate ecosystem. Now, I am coming to the next science, the quantum physics. The quantum physics is made up of two components. One is matter, another is energy. Matter I mean, the energy is liberated matter. It liberates. We show it in the P&L account. Matter is energy waiting to happen. That is balance sheet. If you wait the energy for energy to come and do not do anything about it, it becomes an NPA. In this, the benchmarks are being clearly made easy. In my book, the benchmarks, you got to do it for each and every component of your balance sheet, every one of them. What is there in the nature? It's a very interesting one. Is hydrogen converts dot over 7, I call it over 7 factor, 7/1000 of its energy to helium. If, I mean, the whole universe is full of hydrogen. If it conversion factor is more, 0.008, then hydrogen is fully exhausted. There will be nothing but helium, whatever to the extent had been done. So the whole universe will collapse like a tent. That ends. If it does not, instead of 0.07, it goes for 0.06. The conversion does not take place. You have nothing but hydrogen. There is no helium. The entire universe will be floating on the thin what? Thin space. So this is what our system, ecosystem, has provided with. If you compare that with our corporate ego-system, identify 0.07 factor. When you do that, you have two important elements. One is the CAGR, another CDGR. Another is CARR and CDRR. CAGR gives you the growth. CARR gives you the reduction rate. We have both the elements are there, debit and credit. So this will convert it into CDGR or CDRR. The daily rate of reduction and daily rate of growth have to be identified. How do you do that? That is simple. It's matter and energy. In matter and energy, energy is liberated matter. That is why the raw materials and other areas and the finished goods are there, all liberated out of the entirety, then your profits comes automatically. If you don't do that, we have a problem. That's what the hydrogen is about. If you are going to convert without having a working capital, without having a long-term loans, or without having the cash available, and you spend everything, and you are not able to convert that raw materials into your finished products, you have a problem, just like hydrogen being exhausted. Nothing but NPAs sitting around. Similarly, if you are finding it difficult to convert the raw materials to the same because of a lack of everything, or giving that, I was surprised about Bhushan Steel, for example. 55,000 crores that man had been arrested by ED while he was the chairman of this thing. What do you do? Because he has diverted the funds for some other purpose other than putting in. It went for NCLT, and finally Tata Steel bought it and is running it. It's one of the finest units that they had created, but they could not continue with that. So money is a itchy thing, is a very important aspect of controlling that sort of thing. Like his name is Amedio Giannini was Bank of Italy who started. When changed to Bank of America. Bank of America gave him in his absence, the board, $1.5 million as a bonus. He came back and he said, "Is it cheating? I don't have this thing." He could have died as one of the biggest millionaires of the century, but he didn't have that. He said, "I don't have an itch for money." The whole entire $1.5 million, which was given in his absence, donated to the University of California. We need backers. What is the point in walking away of 2008 and the insurance companies having done so many things? Individuals, chairman and all, I mean guys who had been, blew over everything, getting a bonus and walking away with about $200 million or that sort of thing. It's corrupt. It is an ecosystem which is corrupt. So we are in the fifth stage. We have seen physics, corporate atomic structure. We have seen quantum physics, very simple. Matter, energy, everything is matter. Nothing will move. It is inert object. So the SO is governance. Subject governance is how you move the other one. Object governance is how the object moves because of the subject. And self-governance is the one which is, yoga, corporate yoga. You got to do that. How can anybody accept certain things within a company and go away and walk away with such a big bonus? There is no self-governance. That's why women are much better. Put women in charge of the ethical standards. Ethical standards have been given in the book, and follow it. The 100,000 companies, investing companies, must follow. Then the third is metaphysics. It is the most important of all the science. Metaphysics is what Immanuel Kant had said about 350 years back. Whether metaphysics as a science can be brought in a mathematical way, as well as the logical structure like that of the natural sciences. Please go through my book. How it has been brought. How intangible has been defined. How intangible has been derived. When I say domain of intangible, what is it? What is the difference between intangible and tangible? And that is the energy force. That is when matter and antimatter, when antimatter collides with matter, it forms a pure energy. That is the antimatter. That is intangible. That is the effort we put. And that is the one we are getting as we have. Every human being is an amazing David Eagleman, one of those very great narrator of synapses and neurons. We have, every one of us, whether he is an African or a Asian or an American or a German or a Ukrainian, we have that ability. That is the greatness of being a human being with the intangible. So, which is common for all, whether it is a nuclear scientist or a potter. When we have that, you have very easy to get the denominator. The denominator is what metaphysics provides you with. The denominator is the energy force. What is the numerator? Action or inaction. The denominator is one for all. Whether you act upon, take an effort and act, and you do not, then in the balance sheet, if you have an NPA, is 0. Numerator is 0. You have not taken action. That is my IPR, IBCM. Inactivity based cost management. Activity has got a cost incidence. That is, when you do that, action 1, denominator intangible 1 is 1. Then inactivity has got a cost consequence. Measure consequence now. That is the dictum. So when the cost consequence, we do not do the inactivity is 0. So every action and inaction, you get a binary value. And every action of a company, when you are in the 5th stage, preparing a strategy plan, find out whether every person, 670,000 workforce, are given a job to reach the various areas of your strategy plan when it is done, and go by return on the intangible. It is not return on investment. Not your $68.1 trillion guy is sitting with so much of funds. Apply return on the intangible, whether effort is taken or not. That binary value will provide a clue for the returns that you are going to get. That is metaphysics. So these three are very important in the fifth stage. One more thing, very, very important. We talk of fiscal, ethical, and co-responsibility. Co-responsibility relates to the society we live in, which has been brought by the corporate atomic structure. That is the neuron. Having got it, we have to measure it. That measurement, the one which gives that measurement is the return on the intangible. The measurement area, I'm sorry, I'm just forgetting certain things, is the UNCAC. UNCAC Article 13, participation of society, is a must in every strategic planning process. That is on the fifth stage. When you are preparing for $100 million strategy plan for merger and acquisition, and if you are going to forget about the society, which is that, what is the participation of society? UNCAC Article 13, implant it. Is an excellent document, UNCAC. Keep that as a template for your strategy plan, and that gives the commitment deeper. That's what Dirboy has said. Then you are moving to the last stage. The last stage is earth. You come Panchabhuta, you got one after the other. You got the air, atmosphere, you got the form, you got the space, form, formation, formulation, and the substance of quality. Once you are through with the fifth stage, going to the sixth stage, you are getting a substance of quality called Strategy Plan 2030. Don't miss it. And that must have the UNCAC Article 10, public reporting. If you conclude that is the basis on which you have deal is over, both the parties have signed, M&A is ready, publish it. That's what FDA did. Not FDA, pharmaceuticals standards. They went on the public, and excellent this thing had come. Okay, so this is what you have to do. The 5-6 stages are over. You have a strategy plan. Then your action, take the effort for the action. That becomes action. Second stage, action process. The first stage of creative, there are only two processes in an industry, in a company, corporate. Do not have to bother anything more than that. The first stage is the creative process, where you are creating a substance of quality from the dream state to paper work. IPR is that, is how it is being done, and the strategy plan is that, and various aspects are there in the substance of quality, which is strategy plan. In that is the intellectual value capital of a company, as an investor company or any other company. I'll briefly tell you how you rate it. The one M&A which is started with very big was HP Autonomy. They wrote off $8.8 billion within the same year in the fourth quarter. The intellectual value capital of HP Autonomy, they started with an idea, conceptualization. They jumped to the strategy plan, sixth stage, without going through the linear process. When it affected, what they got ultimately, intellectual value capital of HP Autonomy is 0. Finish. Then you have Microsoft, Nokia. Again, they might have gone through 1 or 2, 3, and the first stage also they might have discussed. A very organized company, but they had to write off $7.5 billion. That is, intellectual value capital of Microsoft Nokia is zero. Finish. Then you have Bayer Monsanto. There are more than about 10 million pages have been written to hide what that glyphosate would do for the cancer. Is $65 billion M&A. They have provided for $15 billion as the possible class action suit against Bayer. Intellectual value capital of Bayer Monsanto is zero. You take up Volkswagen. The Volkswagen had gone through the 35 billion euros for the purpose of cheat software, the emission thing. Matthias Miller came with a wonderful priorities just after the cheat software had been found out. He brought about 5 priorities. One is the customer satisfaction. Another is finding out the truth as to what happened. Stupid on his part. He was sacked. Then Dr. Herbert Diess came. He did a great job. One of the finest executives I have come across. With all that ego-system, if you go deep into what the Volkswagen does, I have described in Animal Spirits of Keenness, the moral, economic and hedonism. Volkswagen, you must study more deeply. Dr. Diess, Herbert Diess, had done a wonderful job. He not only paid back the 35 billion euros, he brought about the value system. T for I, together for integrity, for all the 670k workforce to be followed. He was sacked. That is our ego-system. Then we have a major M&A which is waiting to happen. The matter is a one which is energy is waiting to happen, is UBS and Credit Suisse. Credit Suisse intellectual value capital is, then another one, JP Morgan and First Republic. Intellectual value capital of First Republic, zero. So we have in our hands the corporate ecosystem. Unless we knock it off, unless these 100,000 companies, including all these big time talkers of ecosystem, trying to do it for others but not for themselves, will be very difficult for $48.1 trillion to get any returns. They are big time operators of billions of dollars for nothing, and nobody asks them, and the society is the one who is suffering. So this is what is needed, and we have to get this one through. How we are going to do it is, I would say, I would rather say that you got to do that methodically. It can be done. So, like Galileo was my hero, I hope I'm able to get this thing despite companies like any big ecosystem companies who refuses to see my book or read my book, as Galileo had to go through. I don't mind. But you guys, so 100,000 companies, if you're very serious about it, the startups, learn from my book. It's going to benefit you and benefit that $48.1 trillion investments. Thank you. Finally, is a postscript. I mentioned about Galileo being the reverse mentor of his time, trying to change the mindset of the people. Who are the reverse mentors today? Changing the ecosystem of corporate. Let's talk about the corporate. If we can do that, then we are in a position to change the governments. The critical area is corporate. The reverse mentors are there in the universities, or there in the business school. I'm talking about the students, about the graduates who would be coming out of that. If universities and business schools have a fear of offending this ecosystem, corporate ecosystem, because they are their main customers, they are in business. All the students they charge heavily. It's not like a gurukul where you enter the gurukul without paying anything. Here you have to pay through your nose. Many students take heavy loans, and you all know the credit card the students have taken in the United States. So there is a responsibility for the universities to teach, not to create a business in a business school for themselves. If they don't do that, if they don't discuss this corporate ecosystem, as Alan Savory says, the students will come back brain dead. And those universities who do not teach this change of the current corporate ecosystem, their intellectual value capital is. Thank you.